Think you know your own mind? Think again. From the weird reason you talk to yourself to why that high school playlist still hits so hard, these psychology facts are guaranteed to surprise you, challenge what you believe, and maybe even blow your mind. Let's begin the video. Number 1. Talking to yourself might mean you're smarter than you think. Ever catch yourself muttering under your breath while working through a problem? Maybe you talk out loud while planning your grocery list, or when making a tough decision. As strange as it might seem, this behavior isn't a sign that you're losing it. It could be a sign of a well-functioning mind. Psychologists have found that talking to yourself, what they call self-directed speech, can enhance concentration, boost memory, and improve decision-making. When you verbalize your thoughts, you're essentially helping your brain categorize and process information more efficiently. You become your own coach, guide, and analyst all at once. In fact, children often talk themselves through tasks, like tying their shoes or completing puzzles. It's how they learn, and adults are no different. Talking to yourself can be a tool for organizing scattered thoughts, reducing anxiety, and staying focused during challenging tasks. Interestingly, studies show that when you refer to yourself in the third person, like saying, "You can do this," instead of "I can do this," you distance yourself from emotional overwhelm. This shift helps you regulate your emotions more effectively, almost as if you're giving advice to a friend rather than yourself. So the next time someone gives you a weird look for chatting with yourself, just smile and keep doing it. You might be unlocking higher cognitive functions they're not even aware of. Talking to yourself doesn't mean you're crazy. It could just mean you're a high performer using your mind in an optimal way. Number 2, multitasking isn't efficient, it's a brain drain. In a fast-paced world, multitasking is worn like a badge of honor. People brag about being able to check emails, attend a video call, and eat lunch, all at the same time. But here's the kicker. Multitasking doesn't make you more productive, it actually slows you down and leads to more mistakes. What feels like multitasking is actually your brain switching rapidly between tasks. Every time you switch focus, your brain goes through a lag, what researchers call the switch cost. These transitions consume energy and reduce accuracy. In fact, multitasking can cut your productivity by as much as 40%. But it's not just productivity that suffers. Cognitive overload from multitasking can lead to increased stress and reduced memory retention. When you constantly interrupt yourself to switch tasks, your brain has less time to commit information to long-term memory. That means you're more likely to forget what you just did, said, or read. And here's something even more surprising. Studies show that people who think they're great at multitasking are often the worst at it. They're more easily distracted and less capable of filtering out irrelevant information. It's a psychological illusion. We feel more productive because we're doing more, but we're not doing it well. The solution? Practice monotasking or single tasking. Focus on one thing at a time and take short breaks between tasks. You'll finish faster, make fewer mistakes, and actually feel less mentally drained by the end of the day. So next time you're tempted to juggle 5 things at once, remember, your brain isn't built for that. Doing one thing well is smarter than doing 5 things poorly. Number 3. Your brain remembers emotion, not detail. Think back to the last argument you had. Can you recall every word that was said? Probably not. But chances are you remember exactly how it made you feel. Hurt, angry, confused, or maybe even guilty. That's because our brains are wired to prioritize emotional content over factual detail. Psychologists call this phenomenon emotional memory, and it's processed in a part of the brain called the amygdala. This little almond-shaped structure is responsible for detecting emotional significance in our experiences and attaching a feeling to those memories. And when something stirs up intense emotion, good or bad, it gets imprinted more deeply into our brain. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes perfect sense. Our ancestors needed to remember dangerous situations, like narrowly escaping a predator, so they wouldn't make the same mistake twice. Emotion was the highlighter that marked those events in their memory. Today, we might not be outrunning tigers, but our brain still flags emotionally charged moments as important. This also explains why we can develop irrational fears or strong attachments based on one emotional experience. A single embarrassing moment in school might make someone dread public speaking for years. A deeply comforting hug during a hard time might forever link that person with feelings of safety and warmth. It's also why apologies are powerful. not because they erase what happened, but because they offer new emotional context, and why a heartfelt compliment sticks longer than a dry, logical one. So, if you want to be remembered or if you're trying to make a moment meaningful, tap into emotion. It's not the facts people carry with them, it's the way you made them feel. Number 4. You make a first impression in just seconds. You've probably heard that first impressions matter. But what you may not know is just how fast they form. Research shows that it takes about 7 seconds for someone to make a judgment about you. And once it's formed, it's incredibly difficult to change. The moment someone sees your face, hears your voice, or even just notices your body language, their brain gets to work. In milliseconds, they're sizing you up, deciding whether you're trustworthy, competent, likable, or threatening. It's a primal instinct based on survival. Back in the day, deciding quickly whether someone was friend or foe could be a matter of life or death. One fascinating study found that people made accurate assessments of personality traits like extroversion and openness just from looking at a photo for a few seconds. Even subtle things, like posture, tone of voice, or the firmness of a handshake, can reinforce or challenge that initial impression. The tough part? Once we form that first judgment, our brain starts filtering all future information through that lens. This is called confirmation bias. If we think someone is cold, we'll notice every behavior that confirms that. If we think they're kind, we'll ignore their rough edges. But here's the good news. You can influence first impressions. Simple things like eye contact, a genuine smile, and open body language go a long way. Dress in a way that feels confident to you, speak clearly, and listen attentively. You can't stop people from forming first impressions, but you can make sure the one they form is close to who you really are. Number 5. Your brain treats uncertainty as a threat. Ever feel anxious when you're waiting for test results, a job callback, or a text that just won't come? That sinking feeling isn't just in your imagination. Your brain literally sees uncertainty as a threat. When we don't know what's coming, the brain kicks into overdrive. It starts spinning scenarios, predicting outcomes, and preparing for the worst. This is an ancient survival mechanism. In the wild, unpredictability could mean danger, a predator hiding in the bushes or sudden weather changes. Our brains evolved to favor certainty, even if the news is bad. What's fascinating is that studies show people would rather receive definite bad news than stay in suspense. One experiment found that people who were told they would receive a painful shock were less stressed than those told they might get shocked. The ambiguity causes more stress than the certainty of pain. This is because uncertainty triggers a part of the brain called the anterior cingulate cortex, which monitors for errors and conflict. When it can't predict what's going to happen, it floods the system with stress hormones, keeping you on high alert. That's why people often say, "Just tell me already, I can handle it." So what can you do when you're stuck in the unknown? First, acknowledge the discomfort. Don't try to suppress it. It only gets louder. Next, focus on what you can control, your reaction, your preparation, your perspective. Accept that uncertainty is part of life and remind yourself that not knowing doesn't automatically mean something bad is coming. The brain hates ambiguity, but it doesn't have to run the show. With awareness and practice, you can train yourself to stay calm even when the path ahead is unclear. Number 6. Cute things make us feel weirdly aggressive. Ever see a puppy so cute you wanted to squeal or maybe even bite your lip to keep from squeezing it too hard? That strange urge has a name: cute aggression. And yes, it's a real psychological phenomenon. Cute aggression is the brain's way of balancing out extreme positive emotions. When we see something so adorable, like a fluffy kitten or a smiling baby, our brains can become emotionally overwhelmed. So, to avoid going into emotional overload, the brain throws in a dash of aggression. Weird, right? But think of it this way. It's like a release valve. The urge to pinch cheeks, grit your teeth, or say things like, "You're so cute I could eat you," isn't a sign you're going to snap. It's your brain's way of regulating intense affection. In fact, people who report higher levels of cute aggression often show more empathy and nurturing behavior, not less. Researchers believe this reaction helps us stay functional when caring for infants or small animals. If the emotional high of cuteness didn't come with some grounding aggression, we might be too dazzled to take care of them properly. So in a way, it's an evolutionary adaptation designed to keep us focused. You're not actually going to crush that puppy, but your brain might want to. Just a little. And that's okay. So the next time you see a video of a baby panda tumbling down a hill and feel like yelling into a pillow, don't panic. You're not broken. You're human, and your brain is just trying to keep things in balance. Number 7. Your brain favors the negative. Even when things are going well, you could have a great day. Sunshine, compliments, a free coffee. But then, one rude comment or awkward moment happens. And suddenly, that's all you can think about. Sound familiar? That's not just moodiness, it's your brain's negativity bias. Negativity bias is the psychological tendency to give more weight to negative experiences than positive ones. In other words, bad stuff sticks harder. One harsh review can outweigh a dozen glowing ones. One bad memory can overshadow hours of joy. From an evolutionary perspective, this made sense. Our ancestors needed to remember threats, hostile animals, poisonous plants, or dangerous terrain, to survive. Missing a beautiful sunset wasn't fatal, but forgetting a bad encounter could be. So, the brain became wired to prioritize risk over reward. In modern life, though, this bias can backfire. It can lead to rumination, self-doubt, and a skewed perception of reality. You might be doing well overall, but your brain clings to the one thing that went wrong. The good news? You can counteract negativity bias with something called positive ratio training. The idea is that it takes about 5 positive experiences to outweigh one negative one. That doesn't mean forcing fake happiness, it means being intentional. Celebrate small wins. Write down what went right. Share good news. Revisit joyful moments. Your brain may naturally lean toward the negative, but with practice you can remind it there's so much more to see. Number 8. You're still bonded to the music you loved as a teenager. Ever hear a song from your teenage years and feel instantly transported back in time? Maybe your heart swells, your mind flashes with memories, and you're suddenly 16 again. That's not just nostalgia, it's brain chemistry. Research shows that the music we connect with between the ages of 12 and 22 gets hardwired into our emotional memory. During adolescence, our brains are flooded with hormones that heighten emotional experiences. Music hits harder, feels deeper, and becomes tied to formative moments, your first crush, heartbreak, summer road trips, or long nights with friends. What makes it even more powerful is dopamine. Music you love triggers a release of this feel-good neurotransmitter, making you associate songs with intense pleasure. Your brain builds strong neural pathways around those tunes. That's why hearing just a few notes from a favorite high school track can evoke a rush of emotion. It's also why people often say, music just isn't as good these days. It's not that the music is worse, it's that your brain is less impressionable now. Adult experiences are processed with more complexity and less hormonal intensity, so songs don't hit you the same way. But here's the fun part. Revisiting your teenage playlist can actually lift your mood, ease stress, and improve your emotional state. It's like emotional time travel, except the vehicle is a melody. So go ahead, dust off that old playlist. Sing along, feel it all again. Your brain remembers, and it loves that version of you just as much as you do. Thanks for watching. Psychology helps us understand ourselves and each other just a little bit better. Whether it's the reason behind your habits, your emotions, or your quirks, there's always something fascinating waiting to be uncovered. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who's as curious about the mind as you are. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking insights every week. And while you're at it, hit the notification bell so you never miss a moment of discovery. Thanks for watching, and remember, the mind is just as mysterious as it is amazing.